Hello, my name is Kendra Wyckoff, and I'm the Executive Director for Peace House. We hope that you and yours have been staying healthy and well as we've been navigating this public health crisis together but apart. We are so incredibly grateful, though, for your support and commitment to domestic violence survivors and the life-changing and life-saving programs at Peace House. Peace House Domestic Violence Victim Services are operating, including our 24/7 helpline, emergency shelter, legal advocacy services, case management, and counseling. To promote social distancing, we are offering flexible client care and the use of technology to support some services. Many of our staff continue to telework to mitigate and reduce the risk of exposure to COVID-19 for our residents, clients, and team members. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the shelter-in-place mandates to protect public health have an unintended consequence for victims of family violence and abuse. Home is not a safe place for everyone, and avenues for respite, support, and connection for victims of domestic violence have been diminished or completely cut off as schools are not in session, workplaces are closed, and abusive partners are unemployed or teleworking from home. We at Peace House are seeing the stressors of the shelter-in-place mandates and an uptick in calls for support and service and the types of resources we are providing. Our helpline calls in March and April have increased by 25% as compared to January of 2020. Earlier this year, we were working towards launching our transitional housing program, which will offer longer-term housing and support services to victims of domestic violence and their children for 6 to 24 months. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we're currently using those units for emergency shelter to mitigate the risk of transmission and exposure of the virus to the individuals and families residing in our shelter program. Our emergency shelter program provides for the immediate safety needs of those fleeing abuse, and 50% of the residents in our emergency shelter are children coming with the adult survivor. The average length of stay in the emergency shelter is around 30 days. But during this pandemic, we've seen the average length of stay double from 30 to 60 days as families are working to improve their safety and stability. Exiting the shelter and stabilizing in our community has become even more difficult due to the economic impacts, as both employment and housing opportunities are very limited right now. In March and April, Peace House provided over $15,000 in rent assistance and direct emergency assistance to victims impacted by domestic violence. This was a 140% increase in assistance from January and February earlier this year. That emergency assistance includes things like car repairs, paying utilities, and providing safe phones and access to technology so that survivors are able to improve their safety and stability. We also know for some in our community, calling a domestic violence helpline or reaching out via technology may not be a safe option while they've been sheltering in place at home with an abusive partner. As the shelter-in-place mandate is being relaxed and we are slowly opening up our community, we at Peace House expect to see an additional increase in requests for services as victims of domestic violence may now have opportunities to reach out for support and help. Now more than ever, your support is needed to meet the challenging and complex needs of the most vulnerable in our community. We value you and appreciate you and the support you have given us, especially as we built and transitioned into our new welcoming community campus. We value your continued dedication as we're going through this very surreal time and know that many are suffering from economic turmoil, stress, and increased social isolation. We are working with our community partners to support vulnerable families through this crisis, and we could not have gotten here without you. We need you now more than ever to help meet the needs of those in our community who need our services more than ever. Thank you so much.